The massive alien ships appeared over Earth on a Tuesday morning like giant metal clouds blocking the sun, and Ambassador Kang Minho was having his coffee when the emergency alert screamed through his communication device, making him spill hot liquid all over his white uniform shirt, and he knew this was not going to be a normal day, because nothing good ever happened when alien ships showed up without sending a message first. The United Earth Defense Council building erupted into chaos, as hundreds of staff members ran between offices carrying papers and shouting orders, while computer screens flashed red warnings about the enormous fleet that had just materialized above major cities around the planet. And Kang Minho straightened his tie and walked calmly to the main command center, where Captain Park Jinwoo was already studying the tactical displays with a frown that made his face look like someone had just told him his favorite restaurant was closing forever. "How many ships are we looking at, Captain?" Kang Minho asked as he approached the central holographic display that showed tiny blue dots representing Earth's defense fleet and thousands of red dots representing the alien vessels that surrounded their planet, like angry bees around a hive, and Park Jinwoo shook his head slowly while pointing at the numbers on his screen. Over 3,000 vessels. Ambassador and our computers are having trouble getting exact counts because they keep moving in formation, patterns we have never seen before, Park Jinwoo replied while adjusting the display to show the size comparison between human and alien ships, which made everyone in the room go quiet, because their largest battleship looked like a toy next to the smallest alien craft. Communications officer Lee Yuna suddenly stood up from her station with wide eyes and raised her hand to get everyone's attention, before speaking in a voice that was trying to stay calm, but failing badly. "Ambassador, we are receiving a transmission from the alien fleet, and they are requesting immediate communication with our highest-ranking official, and they say they will wait exactly 10 minutes before taking hostile action." Kang Minho nodded and walked to the communications station while everyone in the command center gathered around to listen, because this was probably the most important conversation in human history, and he took a deep breath before pressing the button to accept the incoming transmission from beings that could probably destroy their entire civilization before lunchtime. The alien voice that came through the speakers sounded like metal scraping against stone, mixed with the hissing of steam, and it spoke in perfect English, which was somehow more terrifying than if it had spoken in an unknown language. "We are the Galactic Hegemony, and we have come to inform the species of this planet that you will submit to our authority within 72 hours or face complete annihilation." This is Ambassador Kang Minho representing the United Earth Defense Council. He replied into the microphone while trying to keep his voice steady. "May we ask why the Galactic Hegemony wishes to claim authority over our planet?" The alien response came immediately without any pause for consideration. "Your species has reached a level of technological development that requires supervision under galactic law, and you will surrender your weapons and submit to our guidance, or you will be eliminated." Like the 847 other worlds that chose resistance over wisdom, Park Jinwoo leaned over to whisper in Kang Minho's ear, 847 worlds, Ambassador. That means they have done this many times before and probably have a very efficient system for destroying planets that do not cooperate. Lee Yuna was frantically typing on her computer, trying to intercept and decode additional alien communications, while other officers worked to analyze the technical specifications of the enemy fleet, and everyone could see from their expressions that the news was not good, because Earth's most advanced weapons would probably bounce off those alien ships like rubber balls thrown at a brick wall. "We request time to consider your offer," Kang Minho said into the communication device, hoping to buy some time for their military leaders to come up with a plan that did not involve immediate surrender or total destruction. "You have 72 hours to make your decision," the alien voice replied with what sounded like amusement. "We have monitored your communications and understand that your species values what you call democracy, so we will allow you time to reach consensus among your population, but do not mistake our patience for weakness, because we have the power to turn your planet into space dust with a single command." The transmission ended with a sharp click, and the command center fell silent except for the humming of computers and the quiet breathing of people who had just learned that their entire world was about to change forever. And Kang Minho looked around the room at faces filled with fear and determination, and knew that the next 3 days would determine whether humanity had a future or not. Director Kim Soren walked into the command center at that moment carrying a tablet computer and wearing an expression that suggested she had been thinking about something very unusual, and she approached Kang Minho with quick steps while other officers gathered around to hear what she had to say. Ambassador, I have been listening to the alien transmission and analyzing their approach to this situation, she said, while scrolling through information on her tablet. These aliens have conquered 847 worlds using the same intimidation tactics, and they expect us to respond like every other species they have encountered. Park Jin-woo frowned and crossed his arms. What do you mean, Director Soren? And what kind of response are you suggesting? Because our military analysis shows that we cannot win a direct confrontation with their technology. Kim Soren smiled in a way that made everyone nervous, because it was the kind of smile people made when they were about to suggest something completely crazy. Captain, we should not try to fight them with weapons or negotiate with them using normal diplomacy, because they will expect those responses and have probably prepared countermeasures for every logical strategy we might use. Then what do you suggest we do? Kang Minho asked while wondering if the stress of the situation was making the director of psychological warfare lose her mind because this was not the time for experimental approaches to interstellar diplomacy. We should respond in a way that makes absolutely no sense to them. Kim Soren replied while opening a new file on her tablet. I want to contact the Global Entertainment Collective and broadcast something that will confuse them so badly that they will not know how to proceed with their invasion plans. Lee Yuna looked up from her communications station with confusion written across her face. Director, what kind of entertainment could possibly stop an alien invasion fleet with superior technology and 800 years of conquest experience? Kim Soren's smile grew wider and more mysterious as she showed them the file on her tablet, which contained the lyrics and musical notation for a song that every human on Earth knew by heart, but no alien intelligence could possibly understand. We are going to broadcast Baby Shark on every frequency we can access and make it our official response to their declaration of war. The command center erupted into confused voices as officers tried to understand how a children's song could serve as humanity's defense against an interstellar invasion force, and Kang Minho realized that the next 72 hours were going to be even stranger than he had originally thought. Dr. Choi Hyun-woo arrived at the emergency meeting looking like he had not slept in 3 days. Which was probably true, because xenopsychologists did not usually have to deal with actual aliens threatening to destroy Earth, and he carried a thick folder filled with research papers about theoretical alien psychology that nobody had ever expected to use in real life. Director Kim, your plan sounds completely insane, he said, as he sat down at the conference table surrounded by military officers and entertainment executives who were all trying to understand how a children's song could save humanity from extinction. But after studying the communication patterns and behavioral indicators from the alien transmission, I think it might actually work. Kim Soren leaned forward with interest while other people around the table looked skeptical, because most of them still thought this was the worst idea anyone had ever suggested for dealing with an invasion fleet. Explain your reasoning, Doctor, because we need to understand the psychological basis for this approach. Dr. Choi opened his folder and spread several documents across the table showing charts and graphs about alien civilization development patterns. Most species that achieve interstellar travel do so by developing highly organized societies that prioritize logical thinking and efficient problem solving, and they eliminate unpredictable elements from their cultures because randomness interferes with the kind of long-term planning necessary for space exploration. Nam Ji-won, who had been listening quietly while reviewing technical specifications for Earth's communication systems, suddenly looked up with understanding. So you are saying that aliens who can travel between stars probably think in very predictable ways and would be confused by responses that do not follow logical patterns. Exactly, Dr. Choi replied while pointing to a graph that showed theoretical development paths for spacefaring civilizations. They have conquered 847 worlds using the same approach, which means they expect all intelligent species to respond with either submission or military resistance, and they have prepared strategies for dealing with both of those responses. Kim Soren nodded and activated the wall display to show Earth's global communication network. But they have never encountered a species that would respond to an existential threat by broadcasting children's entertainment, and that unexpected response will force them to reconsider everything they think they know about human intelligence and decision-making. Nam Jiwon stood up and walked to the technical display showing satellite positions and transmission capabilities. If we are going to do this, we need to modify our communication arrays to broadcast on frequencies that will reach their entire fleet. And we should probably include translation protocols so they can understand the words, even if they cannot understand the meaning. How many languages can we translate the song into? Asked Captain Odeho, who commanded the orbital defense platform and was responsible for coordinating Earth's space-based assets during the crisis. Our computers can handle about 2,000 known human languages, plus we can create new languages specifically designed to be as confusing as possible to logical alien minds. Nam Ji-won replied while typing commands into his portable computer. I used to produce music for international markets, so I understand how to make audio content that works across different cultural backgrounds. Dr. Choi looked excited as he reviewed more papers from his research folder. We should also consider the psychological impact of repetition, because most alien species that develop space travel probably use communication systems that prioritize efficiency over redundancy, and a song that repeats the same simple phrases over and over again will seem like either a complex code or a form of mental conditioning. Kim Soren smiled and began organizing the implementation plan. Nam Ji-won will handle the technical aspects of broadcasting while Dr. Choi advises us on psychological warfare elements, and Captain O coordinates with our orbital platforms to ensure maximum signal strength and coverage. The meeting continued for 6 hours as they worked out details for what would become the most unusual military operation in human history, and by the time they finished planning, everyone agreed that the strategy was either brilliant or completely crazy, and possibly both at the same time. Captain O returned to his orbital defense platform and immediately began reconfiguring the communication systems while his crew worked to boost signal amplifiers and redirect satellite arrays toward the alien fleet. This is definitely the strangest mission I have ever been assigned, he told his communications officer. But if it works, we will be heroes, and if it fails, we will probably be dead, so either way we will not have to explain our decision to anyone. Nam Ji-won worked with teams of programmers and linguists to create versions of the song in languages that had never existed before, including mathematical language that used musical notes, to represent equations and philosophical language that turned simple words into complex metaphysical concepts. The aliens will intercept these transmissions and assume they contain important information because no species would broadcast meaningless content during a military crisis. Meanwhile, Dr. Choi prepared psychological profiles of possible alien reactions based on theoretical models of how logical civilizations might respond to illogical stimuli. They will probably form committees to analyze the transmission, and those committees will develop conflicting theories about what the song means, and those conflicts will create internal disputes that weaken their decision-making ability. Kim Soren coordinated everything from the main command center while Ambassador Kang Min-ho handled diplomatic communications with world leaders who were having trouble accepting that humanity's survival strategy involved broadcasting children's music to hostile aliens. I understand your concerns, President Martinez, but conventional military responses have a 0% chance of success, while this approach might actually work, because it is so completely unexpected. The Global Entertainment Collective provided technical support and creative input, including suggestions for additional songs that could be used if the initial broadcast proved successful. We have experts who understand how to make audio content that gets stuck in people's heads, explained their representative, and if we can create that effect in alien minds, it might disrupt their ability to think clearly about military strategy. As the broadcast preparation entered its final phase, Captain O reported that alien ships had detected the human communication activity and were maintaining their positions while apparently trying to intercept and analyze the signals. They know we are preparing some kind of response, but they do not know what it is, and their behavior suggests they are expecting either a surrender message or a military challenge. Nam Ji-won completed the final technical preparations and confirmed that Earth's communication network was ready to broadcast the song simultaneously from over 300 locations around the planet and in orbit. We will have enough signal strength to reach every ship in their fleet, and the multiple language versions will create a complex audio environment that should maximize psychological impact. Dr. Choi reviewed his psychological warfare analysis one final time and confirmed that the strategy had theoretical support. Alien civilizations that prioritize logic will interpret repetitive musical patterns as containing hidden meaning, and they will spend significant time and resources trying to decode information that does not actually exist. Kim Soren looked around the command center at everyone who had worked to prepare humanity's most unusual defense against alien invasion, and realized that in a few hours they would know whether creative thinking could triumph over superior technology. "Are we ready to begin the broadcast?" she asked. "Captain." O confirmed that all orbital platforms were in position. Nam Ji-won verified that communication systems were functioning properly. Dr. Choi indicated that psychological timing was optimal, and Ambassador Kang Minho received final approval from world governments. "Begin transmission." Kim Soren ordered, and Earth's response to the alien declaration of war began playing across radio frequencies, television, channels, satellite networks, and every other communication system humanity possessed, while 3,000 alien ships listened to what they assumed was the most important message their species had ever received. Fleet Commander Vexthul had conquered 17 star systems during his military career, and had never encountered anything like the transmission that was currently flooding every communication channel on his flagship, and he stood in the center of the command chamber surrounded by analysts who were frantically trying to understand what the humans meant by singing about baby sharks swimming in an ocean. The hegemony used chemical communication protocols that conveyed precise information through scent molecules released into the ship's atmosphere, and Vexthul could smell the confusion and frustration radiating from his crew members as they worked to decode what they assumed was humanity's most sophisticated diplomatic message, disguised as simple entertainment. Analysis report. Vexthul commanded while his forearms gestured toward the main display screen that showed spectral analysis data from the human transmission, and senior analyst Krekthon approached with a data pad containing preliminary findings that were somehow both detailed and completely useless. "Commander, the humans are broadcasting identical content in over 2,000 different languages, including several that appear to have been created specifically for this transmission," Krekthon reported while releasing nervous pheromones into the air. "Our linguistic computers have identified repeated patterns that suggest either mathematical encryption or psychological conditioning techniques." Vexthul examined the analysis data and tried to understand how a species that had only recently achieved spaceflight could develop such sophisticated communication strategies. "What is your assessment of the tactical significance of this message?" "We have developed 847 different theories about possible meanings," Krekthon replied, while scrolling through pages of research compiled by the fleet's analysis teams. "Some of our experts believe it contains surrender terms, disguised as cultural expression, while others think it represents a challenge to intellectual combat using abstract reasoning." The chemical atmosphere in the command chamber grew thick with debate pheromones as different analysis teams released scent signals representing their competing interpretations of the human transmission, and Vexthul realized that his highly educated crew was becoming divided over what should have been a simple diplomatic communication. On Earth, Bai Sulgi monitored alien communication channels from her position as head of global communications, and she could barely contain her excitement as she watched the enemy fleet's behavioral patterns change in real time. Director Kim, the aliens are reacting exactly as Dr. Choi predicted, and their internal communications show increasing levels of confusion and debate. Kim Soren reviewed the intercepted alien transmissions that had been translated by Earth's most advanced language processing computers. "They are treating our song as if it contains deep philosophical meaning, and they have formed multiple research committees to analyze different aspects of what they think is our cultural communication system." Dr. Yoon Tae-young, who specialized in mimetic warfare, joined the monitoring session and immediately recognized the psychological patterns developing within the alien fleet. "Director, this is better than we hoped," because their analytical nature is causing them to find patterns and significance in content that was deliberately designed to be simple and repetitive. The alien analysis teams worked around the clock, trying to understand why humans would respond to military threats by broadcasting songs about marine life and family relationships, and their research produced thousands of pages of theoretical interpretations that contradicted each other and created internal conflicts throughout the fleet. Commander Seo Minky led Earth's stealth reconnaissance missions, and his ships were small, enough to avoid detection while monitoring alien fleet behavior from close range. The enemy vessels are showing signs of internal dispute, and some ships have begun moving away from their original formation patterns apparently to conduct independent research on the human transmission. Back on the hegemony flagship, Vexthol called an emergency meeting of his senior staff to discuss the unexpected complexity of dealing with human psychology. How is it possible that a species we expected to defeat easily has produced a communication that our best analysts cannot understand? Strategic advisor Nexthor, who had participated in over 300 planetary conquests, admitted that the human response was unlike anything in hegemony records. "Commander, we have encountered species that surrendered immediately, and species that fought with advanced weapons. But we have never encountered a species that responded to military threats with what appears to be philosophical art, disguised as children's entertainment." The meeting continued for 8 hours as hegemony officers tried to develop strategies for dealing with humans who seemed to think differently than any other intelligent species they had encountered, and their discussions became increasingly frustrated as they realized their traditional conquest methods were not designed for opponents who made no logical sense. Cultural analysis specialist Zekmon presented research suggesting that the human transmission might represent an advanced form of psychological warfare designed to confuse enemy forces. The repetitive musical patterns could be intended to disrupt our cognitive processes, and the multilingual presentation suggests they understand the importance of cross-species communication protocols. Meanwhile on Earth, Nam Ji-won monitored the technical aspects of the broadcast and confirmed that alien ships were not only receiving the transmission, but were actively analyzing it using sophisticated equipment. They are dedicating enormous computational resources to studying our song, and their analysis efforts are consuming time and energy they had probably planned to use for invasion preparation. Dr. Choi Hyun-woo reviewed psychological profiles of the alien responses and noted that different ships in the fleet were developing different interpretations of the same message. This is exactly what we hoped would happen, because logical species cannot handle ambiguous information, and they will continue analyzing until they find meaning even when no meaning exists. Fleet Commander Vexthol received reports that 17 ships had requested permission to withdraw from the invasion fleet to conduct extended research on human cultural patterns, and he realized that his carefully planned military operation was becoming an academic conference about the philosophical implications of aquatic life metaphors. How can a simple song about sharks create this level of analytical complexity? He asked his senior staff during another emergency meeting, and nobody could provide a satisfactory answer, because hegemony education focused on logical problem-solving rather than creative interpretation. The human broadcast entered its second day, and alien analysis teams had produced over 12,000 different theories about possible meanings, ranging from mathematical concepts encoded in musical notation to religious beliefs expressed through animal symbolism to advanced scientific principles disguised as family entertainment. Bae Silgi reported that alien communications were becoming increasingly chaotic as different research teams argued about their competing interpretations. Some alien ships are now broadcasting their own attempts at musical communication, apparently trying to respond to what they think is our diplomatic overture. Kim Soren realized that the psychological warfare strategy was working better than anyone had expected. The aliens are so focused on analyzing our transmission that they have forgotten about their original invasion plan, and they are developing internal conflicts based on different theories about what we mean. Commander Seo Minky observed that several alien vessels had broken formation entirely and were conducting independent research missions while transmitting heated debates among their crews about the correct interpretation of human cultural expression. Their unity as an invasion force is completely falling apart because they cannot agree on how to respond to our message. Dr. Yoon Taeyang noted that the alien overanalysis was creating a feedback loop where each new theory generated additional questions that required more research, and the expanding complexity of their investigation was consuming increasingly large amounts of their time and attention. Fleet Commander Vexathul faced the most difficult decision of his military career as he watched his invasion fleet transform into a collection of competing research stations, all focused on understanding why humans would sing about baby sharks when faced with galactic conquest. And he began to suspect that humanity might be far more sophisticated than initial assessments had suggested. The baby shark transmission had been looping continuously for 3 days, and Fleet Commander Vexathul watched his invasion force dissolve into academic chaos as different ships developed increasingly elaborate theories about human civilization and their supposed advanced understanding of aquatic metaphysics and psychological warfare through children's entertainment. Military Intelligence Chief Jang Hae-eun intercepted alien communications from her monitoring station deep beneath the Himalayas and could barely believe what she was reading as translation computers converted alien chemical signals into human language. Director Kim, the enemy fleet has developed 23 different religious cults based on various interpretations of our song, and some alien crews are now worshipping what they call the Great Shark Wisdom. Kim Soren reviewed the intercepted communications with growing amazement as she realized that humanity's desperate gamble had created results beyond their wildest expectations. The aliens have convinced themselves that Baby Shark contains the secrets of advanced evolution, and they are treating our children's song like the most important philosophical text in galactic history. Dr. Choi Hyunwoo studied the psychological profiles of alien behavior patterns and confirmed that their over-analytical nature had trapped them in an endless cycle of interpretation and reinterpretation. They cannot accept that the song might be simple entertainment, because that would contradict their assumption that humans are responding rationally to an existential threat. The hegemony fleet had split into multiple factions, with each group claiming to possess the correct understanding of human cultural communication, and Fleet Commander Vexthul received hourly reports about ships that had abandoned their military positions to conduct meditation sessions focused on the deeper meaning of repetitive aquatic lyrics. Cultural warfare specialist Ryu Kyungmin had spent her entire career studying how entertainment could influence human behavior, but had never imagined using children's songs as weapons against alien invasion forces. Director Kim: I suggest we escalate the operation by broadcasting additional songs to create what the aliens will interpret as an increasingly complex philosophical framework. What do you have in mind? Kim Soren asked while reviewing reports that showed alien ships were beginning to broadcast their own attempts at musical communication back toward Earth, in what appeared to be efforts to demonstrate their understanding of human artistic expression. Ryu Kyungmin activated a presentation display showing a collection of popular children's songs that had been analyzed for psychological impact potential. We can follow Baby Shark with wheels on the bus, which the aliens will probably interpret as humanity's advanced understanding of cyclical time and mechanical engineering principles. Nam Ji-won, who had been monitoring the technical aspects of the alien responses, confirmed that enemy ships were dedicating enormous computational resources to analyzing the original transmission. Their analysis efforts are consuming so much processing power that they have significantly reduced their military readiness levels, and some vessels appear to be experiencing system overloads. The alien fleet's internal communications revealed growing disputes between factions that had developed different interpretations of the human message, and several ships had requested formal mediation from Hegemony High Command to resolve theological disagreements about the spiritual significance of baby sharks and their relationship to cosmic understanding. Commander Han Borum managed the lunar defense grid and reported that alien behavior patterns had become increasingly erratic as different vessels attempted to respond to the human transmission with their own musical compositions. Some of their attempts at communication are so bad that they are causing arguments within their own crews about proper artistic technique. Xenolinguistics expert Lim Jae-hyun analyzed the alien musical attempts and confirmed that their efforts to create meaningful songs were failing spectacularly because their logical minds could not grasp the intuitive elements that made human music emotionally effective. They understand the technical structure of melodies, but they have no concept of rhythm or emotional expression. The decision was made to expand the psychological warfare campaign, and Earth's communication systems began broadcasting Wheels on the Bus immediately after each loop of Baby Shark, creating what military analysts described as a two-song philosophical cycle that would force the aliens to develop even more complex theories about human cultural sophistication. Fleet Commander Vex Thul called another emergency meeting as his analysts presented new research suggesting that the human transmission cycle represented advanced mathematical concepts disguised as transportation metaphors. The wheels that go round and round appear to reference eternal cosmic cycles, while the wipers that go swish, swish, swish might represent the flow of time through dimensional space. Dr. Yoon Tae-yang monitored the alien psychological responses and noted that the addition of a second song had created exponential increases in analytical complexity as different research teams tried to understand the relationship between aquatic life symbolism and mechanical transportation metaphors. They are now convinced that humans possess a unified theory of existence that encompasses both biological and technological evolution. The alien fleet's unity continued to deteriorate as ships aligned themselves with different interpretative schools, and some vessels began conducting elaborate ceremonies designed to honor what they believed were humanity's profound insights into the nature of reality expressed through deceptively simple musical formats. Yu Kyungmin suggested adding a third song to the broadcast cycle. Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star will complete what they will see as a comprehensive philosophical framework covering aquatic life, terrestrial transportation, and celestial mechanics, and they will probably conclude that humans have achieved perfect understanding of all existence levels. Kim Soren approved the escalation, and Earth's communication systems began broadcasting the three-song cycle that would become known in alien academic circles as the human trinity of cosmic wisdom, while military analysts reported that enemy fleet cohesion had dropped to historically low levels. The psychological impact of the expanded broadcast created immediate results as alien ships began broadcasting increasingly desperate attempts to demonstrate their understanding of human cultural expression, and their musical compositions became so bad that several vessels reported crew members refusing to participate in what they considered artistically offensive activities. Commander Seo Minky observed from his stealth reconnaissance position that alien ships were now spending more time arguing about proper musical interpretation than maintaining military formations. Some vessels have completely abandoned their assigned positions and are conducting independent research missions, while others are trying to establish communication with ships that share their interpretative theories, Lim Jae-hyun translated the most recent alien communications and discovered that they had developed detailed academic papers analyzing the philosophical implications of wondering what celestial objects are and how that wondering represented humanity's advanced approach to cosmic investigation. They think our simple question about a star's nature demonstrates sophisticated epistemological thinking. The three-song broadcast cycle created such analytical complexity that Fleet Commander Vexithul received formal complaints from 17 different ships whose research teams had developed irreconcilable differences about the correct interpretation of human cultural wisdom and were requesting transfers to vessels with more compatible theoretical approaches. Dr. Choi Hyun-woo confirmed that the alien psychological responses had exceeded all theoretical predictions. Their analytical minds are trapped in an endless cycle of interpretation because each new song adds layers of apparent meaning that require them to reconsider all previous theories and develop new frameworks for understanding human intelligence. Jang Hyun intercepted communications revealing that some alien ships were now broadcasting musical compositions back toward Earth in what appeared to be attempts to engage in cultural exchange, while other vessels were developing increasingly elaborate religious practices based on their interpretation of the human trinity. The success of the psychological warfare campaign convinced Kim Soren that humanity had discovered an effective defense against logical alien civilizations. We have learned that sometimes the most sophisticated response to superior technology is to be so completely and authentically human that advanced Civilizations cannot compute our behavior patterns. As the fourth day of broadcasting began, alien fleet behavior had become so chaotic that traditional military analysis methods could no longer predict their actions, and Earth's defense forces realized they were witnessing the collapse of an invasion force through weaponized confusion and mimetic warfare. 7 days of continuous children's song broadcasts had transformed the Galactic Hegemony invasion fleet from a coordinated military force into a collection of competing research institutions and religious movements, and Fleet Commander Vex Thol faced the unprecedented situation of having to request emergency reinforcements, not for military purposes, but for additional xenopsychologists to help understand human cultural complexity. Ambassador Kang Minho received the most unexpected communication. In diplomatic history, when the alien fleet transmitted a formal request for cultural exchange and protection status that would designate Earth as a galactic heritage site protected from military interference, Director Kim, I think we have accidentally convinced them that humanity represents the pinnacle of philosophical evolution in the known universe. Kim Soren read the translated alien message with growing disbelief as she realized that their desperate psychological warfare campaign had achieved results that exceeded every possible expectation. They want to establish permanent research stations around our planet so they can study what they believe is our advanced understanding of existence expressed through musical metaphors. The alien transmission continued with formal apologies for misunderstanding humanity's sophisticated nature and a request for permission to send cultural ambassadors to learn directly from what they now considered the galaxy's most philosophically advanced civilization. Dr. Choi Hyun-woo analyzed the psychological transformation that had occurred within the alien fleet and confirmed that their logical minds had created elaborate theoretical frameworks to explain simple human entertainment. They cannot, except that children's songs might lack deeper meaning, because that would require them to admit their analytical approach was fundamentally flawed. Fleet Commander Vex Thol, prepared to transport himself to the human flagship for what he expected would be the most important cultural exchange in galactic history, and he brought his finest philosophers and analysts because he assumed the meeting would involve discussions of cosmic principles that surpassed normal military or diplomatic negotiations. Captain Park Jin-woo watched the alien shuttle approach his ship and tried to prepare himself for what might be the strangest diplomatic meeting in human history. Ambassador, I hope you understand what you are supposed to say to beings who think Baby Shark contains the secrets of universal wisdom. Kang Minho reviewed his notes one final time and confirmed that he would follow the strategy developed by Kim Soren and her team. We will continue to treat their interpretations seriously while being completely honest about our actual intentions and let their logical minds create whatever explanations they need to make sense of human behavior. The meeting took place in the main conference room of the human flagship with Fleet Commander Vex Thol, accompanied by a delegation of alien scholars who had spent the previous week developing thousands of pages of analysis about human philosophical sophistication expressed through aquatic and transportation metaphors. Child psychologist Park Yoon-ji joined the human delegation along with music theorist Lee Dong-hyun, because Kim Soren believed that experts who actually understood children's entertainment could provide authentic responses to alien questions while maintaining the psychological advantage. Humanity had accidentally created Fleet Commander Vex Thol entered the conference room, releasing chemical signals that indicated profound respect and intellectual curiosity, and he addressed the human delegation with ceremonial phrases normally reserved for meetings between galactic civilizations that had achieved transcendent wisdom levels, representatives of the human philosophical collective. We have spent considerable time studying your cultural transmission, and we acknowledge the sophistication of your species' approach to expressing cosmic understanding through deceptively simple artistic formats, Vex Thol announced, while his translator converted chemical communication into human language. Kang Minho responded with careful, diplomatic language that acknowledged the alien interpretation without making false claims about human intentions. Fleet Commander, we appreciate your recognition of our cultural expressions, and we are interested in establishing peaceful relations based on mutual understanding and respect. Dr. Choi had predicted that the aliens would interpret diplomatic courtesy as confirmation of their theories about human wisdom, and Fleet Commander Vexthul immediately released excited pheromones as he assumed the human response validated his fleet's analytical conclusions. Park Yoonji explained the actual purpose and meaning of children's songs in human society, while Lee Donghyun discussed the technical aspects of musical composition, and both presentations were interpreted by the alien delegation as profound insights into humanity's educational and artistic philosophies. The aliens asked detailed questions about the relationship between baby sharks and cosmic cycles between wheels on buses, and temporal mechanics between twinkling stars, and epistemological investigation, and the human experts provided honest answers that were immediately incorporated into increasingly complex alien theoretical frameworks. Fleet Commander Vexthul announced that the galactic hegemony would designate Earth as a protected artistic heritage site, with permanent research stations established to study human cultural evolution and philosophical development, while ensuring that no other species could threaten what they considered a unique galactic treasure. Kim Soren monitored the meeting from the command center and realized that humanity had not only survived an alien invasion, but had accidentally convinced the galaxy's most powerful military force that Earth represented the highest achievement of intelligent civilization. The formal agreements were signed with great ceremony as Fleet Commander Vexthul presented documents establishing Earth's protected status, along with requests for cultural exchange programs that would allow alien scholars to study human entertainment and educational systems. Captain Park Jin-woo filed his mission report, describing how Earth's defense forces had defeated a superior alien invasion fleet without firing a single weapon by broadcasting children's songs that convinced the enemy they were facing beings of transcendent philosophical wisdom. The alien research stations were established in orbit around Earth, and teams of xenopsychologists began decades-long studies of human culture, while Earth's children continued creating new songs that would become subjects of academic analysis throughout the galaxy. Dr. Choi published papers about the psychological principles that had made the defense strategy successful and confirmed that logical alien minds were vulnerable to confusion when confronted with authentically illogical human creativity. Nam Ji-won received a commendation for developing the technical systems that had broadcast humanity's cultural expressions to the alien fleet, and he began designing communication networks that could be used for similar psychological warfare applications against future threats. The alien academic papers about Baby Shark eventually exceeded 12,000 published studies, and the song became the most analyzed piece of art in galactic history, while Earth's children moved on to new entertainment that would provide material for future xenopsychological research. Kim Soren made her final log entry about the operation that had saved humanity through weaponized confusion. Today we learned that sometimes the most sophisticated defense against superior technology is to be so completely authentically human that advanced civilizations cannot compute our behavior, and also never underestimate the power of an earworm to disrupt logical thinking patterns. The epilogue of the crisis revealed that Earth's protected status had made the planet immune to military threats, while establishing humanity's reputation as the galaxy's most mysterious and philosophically advanced species, even though humans themselves knew they had simply been playing children's music very loudly. Fleet Commander Vexthul retired from military service to become a full-time researcher studying human cultural expressions, and he spent the remainder of his career trying to understand how a species could achieve such apparent wisdom while maintaining what appeared to be deliberate simplicity. The galactic hegemony's military doctrine was revised to include warnings about species that might respond to invasion threats with unexpected cultural transmissions, and future invasion forces were equipped with cultural analysis teams to prevent similar psychological warfare campaigns. Earth's children remained completely unaware that their favorite songs had become galactic artifacts of supreme philosophical importance, and they continued creating new entertainment that would challenge alien analytical capabilities for generations while humanity quietly enjoyed its status as the galaxy's most accidentally mysterious civilization.